we have we have the opportunity now to hear from two candidates running for Oakland County Commissioner in District 12. That includes Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, and a portion of Bloomfield Township. We welcome Kelly Dillaha and William Gage. We're going to go in alphabetical order by last name for the opening statement and reverse the alphabetical order for a closing statement. Kelly Dillaha, that means we'll start with you. And for your opening statement, where is Kelly? Wave your hand. We can see.
I muted, or I can't see my video.
Oh.
Someone.
Can you do that? Can you change that, Kent? Or
oh, there, I did it. Okay.
There we did. Okay, good. We want to see your face. Welcome, Kelly. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you, Sherry, and thank you to the 11th District Democrats. 5 years ago, I left my full-time employment to take care of my mother, Pat, who had Alzheimer's disease. And she got to a point where she could no longer afford her disease, and we had run out of care options. I experienced firsthand the challenges that seniors have in getting housing, medical care, prescriptions, transportation. It was gut-wrenching to watch my mom decline without dignity, and it's something I never want another family to experience. And that is what has spurred me to run for office. I see that there's similar issues going in the county on other topics, and I think that I can be effective in changing those. I've talked a lot in the past about my experience with Birmingham Public Schools and PTA and fundraising, and with many countless organizations across Oakland County, including being a founding member of Femmes for Dems board. But tonight I want to emphasize my professional experience as a university administrator for over 20 years, working for Wayne State, Oakland University, and Henry Ford College, where I did student services and community relations. What I did every day is I asked, how can I help the university reach its mission to serve the community? And how can I help my students reach their academic goals? And I did that through establishing relationships with businesses, government, nonprofits. I brought them to the table and I worked collaboratively. And I want to emphasize that as a county commissioner, I think that's important because I'll be doing the same thing every day. I will be waking up and asking, how can I help the county reach its goal to serve the community? And how can I make residents' lives better? That's how I plan to approach my work collaboratively and with these strong relationships that I have throughout Oakland County.
Thank you, Kelly. William Gage, welcome. Where are you?
Thank you. I'm up here.
Okay. Well, welcome. It's time for your opening statement, 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm Bill Gage. I'm not a politician, never have been. I was a trial attorney. I did medical malpractice trial work for over 4 decades. I worked in Detroit, Oakland County, and all around the area. I was born and bred in Detroit from Brightmoor, the youngest of 4 children. My father passed away when I was 10. We with the strong woman, survived that. And I have been interested in justice and equity and equality for many years. I've handled many police brutality cases in my practice, in addition to the medical malpractice work I did. The fact that we have inequality and injustice is not accidental. It is a result of governmental policies which have been passed over and over and over again. And I think these things need to be addressed. So I am looking forward to, if I'm successful, working on some of these issues. I think we need to deal with, I listened to the other night to a commission hearing. Everybody said Black Lives Matter. I thought that's a wonderful sentiment, but I didn't hear anybody say we're going to do anything about it. I just heard this say Black Lives Matter. What we need is a commission or something created by the county, a committee, to actually start taking testimony and do something in the nature of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to actually deal with the problem. We're one of the wealthiest counties in the state. We have unequal housing, we have unequal schooling, we have unequal medical care. I'm interested and fascinated to deal with all those issues. And I've retired, so I now have time to do it.
Thank you, Bill.
Sure.
Okay, Our first question. We're going to flip back and forth, alternate. We're going to be starting. The first question will be Kelly. Let's see if I got that right. I think I have that mixed up now. No, I'm sorry, Bill. You'll be starting with the first question. At this point, if elected, what is the highest priority and what do you look forward to working on the most in 2021?
Criminal justice reform. And I think with my background in law, it will be very helpful to work on that issue. We have two systems of criminal justice. We have people in jail right now because they can't afford a $50 bail or a $100 fine, or they can't afford to pay for their probation. It just isn't right. There is no need. You know, we should have gotten rid of debtors' prisons with Charles Dickens, but we still have them because people who can't afford proper legal defense, can't afford the cost of going to court, can't afford the bail bonds. They haven't been convicted of anything. They got a bail bond, but they simply can't afford to pay it. So they go to jail. It's not only bad for them, it's very expensive for the county to jail these people. So criminal justice reform will be one of the things that I would absolutely love to start working on. I think we could have a great impact on it in terms of what happens in our county. In fact, I think Oakland County can be a model county for the whole state on a number of issues, and I would like to see us lead on this issue.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, the same question. At this point, if elected, what is the highest priority and what do you look forward to working on the most in January 2021? You have 2 minutes.
Okay, well, my highest priority is to make sure that our families are protected, our seniors are protected from COVID. We need to make sure that we have equipment, resources, and testing in place. We also need to help businesses reopen safely. My sons are grocery store workers, so I've seen firsthand what can happen when a small business is struggling to understand the rules from the government and try to implement those. Get the equipment that they need to keep their customers and their employees safe. So those are things that I want to address. But also I want to make sure that we have clean, safe drinking water in Birmingham and Bloomfield and throughout the county. We have lead service lines that are coming from the streets into the houses here in Birmingham, the area I'll be representing. While that is the municipality's responsibility to repair, the county can be doing things to help speed that process up so that we're not waiting 2, 5, 10 years for those replacements to be made. And also, I want, as a member of the Oakland County Sanitary Code Appeal Board, I've now become very aware of the problems with sanitation systems in the county and throughout the state. We are the only state that does not have a statewide sanitary code. If the state won't do it, the county needs to do it. So we need to make sure that we are protecting our land and our groundwater that is near these sanitation systems of homes and also the wells that are nearby. We inspect right now when there's a new build or a remodel, but we need to be doing that more frequently. And then finally, I want to make sure that we're, like I said before, that we're addressing the needs of our growing senior population. In the next 15 years, approximately 40% of the county will be over age 65, and they have unique needs that need to be addressed. So whenever we're creating policies, we need to keep those needs in mind and that population in mind.
Thank you, Kelly. Kelly, we'll start with you on this next question. For transparency's sake, who makes up most of your donor base? You have 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's small donor. I have mainly small donors. I have been very active in the community, so I am blessed that people believe and trust in me after working with me through as a university professional, as a small business owner here in town, as an advocate and a grassroots organizer. I have a lot of connections in town and people are willing to support me. And if that's a $5 donation, that's wonderful if that's what they can afford. I know right now my husband's unemployed due to COVID, and so we are struggling to support the candidates that we like. But you know, any small amount is appreciated. I do have endorsements from several of skilled trade groups and some other women's organizations in the area, and I appreciate their help. But that's mainly most of my donations have been from small dollar donations.
Okay. Thank you. Bill, you have the same question. For transparency's sake, who makes up most of your donor base? 2 minutes.
My answer is very simple. I'm not a politician. I believe in getting money out of politics. It is the biggest problem we have at every level of government. I have raised no money. I will raise no money. I'm not spending any money. I filed an affidavit saying I would spend less than $1,000 on the campaign. I'm just trying to get my name out and my information, my ideas out to the community however I can. And that's what I think you should be able to do, especially in a local election. So that answer is very simple.
Thank you, Bill. Next question. Start with Bill. What are your plans to address climate change at the county level?
Well, I heard the first gentleman give his response to that, and I thought his ideas were very good. The very first thing we need to do is have the county decide that they're going green. All their buildings, to whatever extent possible, should be transformed into green energy. And we have lots of buildings in the county, and we have $1 billion that goes through our budget every year. So they could just start with themselves. The second thing is any kind of assistance we can get to help homeowners transform from coal burning or gas burning or whatever energy they're using now into clean energy would be very helpful. I'd love to see solar panels on every house in Oakland County. And actually, they're very competitive from any standpoint of finances these days. I've also heard recently, and I haven't been able to investigate this fully, but I understand that some places are using plastic actually to make asphalt for roads. Now that's something we should look into. What a wonderful idea if we could transform one of our biggest problems, the excess of plastic, into asphalt roads, which is another one of our biggest problems. I think somebody once said, fix the damn roads, and I kind of agree with that. So there needs to be direct attention to an effort to change it green. That's the whole idea. It's not being done now, as far as I can tell.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, same question. What are your plans to address climate change at the county level?
Thank you. So just yesterday, I met with a coalition of environmental groups that are based here in the area to hear their ideas. So I think, first of all, whoever is our representative needs to be listening to what our constituents are saying are their priorities. There are groups that are high school students who are advocating for environmental change. There are retirees, there are families who all have different needs and different wants. The thing that we have the most immediate control over is the buildings and operations through the county, because we obviously are the ones approving that budget. So I've worked in facilities management through Wayne State University, and I have some experience in working with trades and with the facilities people to replace and update buildings. And that's a great start to make sure that our buildings are up to code and environmentally friendly. I would also like to see us expand into economically looking at the clean energy sector. How can we capitalize on that and build on that so we can create jobs in Oakland County? We have a lot of skilled trades here. We have businesses here that are looking for ways to expand. I think that this is an area that would help meet the needs of, we have a lot of people who are not employed right now. We have universities and community colleges here who can help train people, and trades that can help train people to be able to enter jobs in that field and help our economy at the same time while we're improving our environment.
Thank you, Kelly. Our next question, we'll start with Kelly. What are your plans to improve racial justice in your communities?
Well, when I was talking earlier about my experiences with my mom trying to gain access to understand what our options were for housing and for medical care, I think part of it is just that I didn't even know I didn't have access. And I think that is the problem, is that we don't do a great job of communicating the wonderful services that we do have to our communities. The current county commission has established healthcare centers in Southfield and in Pontiac. They're working on those right now. And those will help meet the needs of people who very much need these services. I think that we could be looking at all aspects of the policies and our operations to see where there's improvement and where people are being denied access or not being communicated with properly. And that's where I would start.
Okay, thank you. Bill, same question. What are your plans to improve racial justice in our community?
Well, as I spoke about a little earlier, I'm very interested in judicial reform and criminal justice reform. And that unfortunately impacts Black and brown people much more strongly than white people. So I would be very interested in working on that. It's no accident that we have people in jail who are more Black and more brown than white because they are policed differently. And on that level, we ask the police to do way too much. Police are not trained to be psychologists or psychiatrists. They're not trained to treat people who are having a psychiatric break. We send the police out for every reason. In the poor communities, we send them out for every reason. In the rich communities, we send them out and they'll drive you home if you're drunk. In the poor communities, they'll take you to jail. So there's an inequality that exists in police enforcement, criminal law, justice, and it needs to be directly affected by policies which are intended to change it. And we can change it to the better for the whole county. We cannot just change it. This isn't a favor to Black people. Everybody wants to live in a society, or at least most people want to live in a just and fair society. So it's ridiculous to think that this is just doing some special favor for Black people. This is doing what we should have been doing 200 years ago. And we need to correct it. And we need to correct it on a national level. But we can't impact it nationally, but we could do it locally. And as I said earlier, maybe we can be the model county for the entire state. That look at Oakland County, they're attacking the racial disparity problem. I would love to see that. I would be so proud to live in this county if we in fact did it and we got it running in the state of Michigan or wider.
Thank you, Bill. We have time actually for one more question. And I'm going to attempt to take it from the chat room. Hopefully I'll construct it through several different exchanges here to get something that makes sense. So bear with me. And this will begin with Bill on this one. How would you, as a county commissioner, and the county commission in general, ensure that they are not a rubber stamp for the county executive and administration?
Well, actually, that's something I'm quite interested in because I've watched some county commission hearings, and there seem to be some people who are very knowledgeable about our $1 billion budget. But there are others who vote, it looks like they're just voting because the finance committee said that was a good idea or it was a bad idea. I think anybody who has the obligation to vote has also the obligation to know what they're voting on. So I would like to see a much more intense process of looking at the expenses of the county. They just changed a policy where they have to have commission authority for services, professional services over $100,000. That means prior to this, that somebody in the executive department without any other approval could go ahead and issue contracts with no restrictions on it for over $100,000. I think the commission needs to be more involved in the expenditure of $1 billion of tax money that goes through the county.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, now the same question to you. How does county commission and commissioners ensure that they are not a rubber stamp for the county executive and administration? 2 minutes.
I think there's an amount of preparedness that, as Bill just mentioned, making sure that you understand the issue very much by doing the research So I know as my experience on the sanitation appeal board, I spend a lot of time looking with papers. I'm prepared ahead of time before I go into a meeting to understand what I'm voting on. And I would approach this the same way. I think that it's important that not just I think it's important for the commissioner to not only be working in the meetings, but also before, by getting to know their constituents, that they're out in the community, that they're active, and they're hearing exactly what their constituents want, so that when they go into those meetings, they're advocating for them. And I think that piece has been missing from our budget process for a long time. I think some of the people who have represented us before feel like they're the experts and they don't need to reach out to their constituents and get their opinions. And so I would like to change that aspect of it by making sure that I'm very involved in the community, that I'm talking to people, that I'm listening to their needs, and that the budget reflects the values that we share.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you both for participating in this forum tonight. We now have your closing statements, and that will be 1 minute apiece. And we will begin with, we reverse the order from the opening statement. So we'll start with Bill.
Yes, as I say, I'm not a politician, never have been. I've been passionate about the issues that I'm talking about. I've been a member of the ACLU. I've been on some of their legal teams attacking the sobriety check lane case. I represented police killings in Detroit many times, in addition to my malpractice work. But what really got me fascinated was I worked with the voters, not politicians, and we actually got the Michigan Constitution amended. And I was so happy every time I spoke to voters who were saying, "What's this about?" And once I explained it, they were thrilled to death to sign it. And Republicans, Democrats, didn't matter, because they want the people to be in charge of their government. It is no accident we have inequality. It's no accident we have poverty, and we need to change those things. And those will be my primary source, or my primary emphasis, if I'm elected.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, 1 minute for your closing statement.
Yes, thank you to the 11th district, everyone. I am also not a career politician, but I also understand that this seat is critical. We need to keep the majority in order to get things done that have never been able to be done in my lifetime on this commission. So it's imperative that we win, and the way that we do that is getting our name out there. And I worked in marketing. Simple word of mouth doesn't work anymore, especially during a pandemic. We need to have an online presence. We need to be mailing to people. We can't just hope that they've heard about us. So I have a very strong marketing plan in place. I'm doing my best to reach out to voters. I'm on these calls all the time. I'm reaching out to organizations. I'm mailing. I'm not door knocking, but I will be hanging door hangers, dropping lit. I mean, we've got to get the word out, and I'm working really hard, and we've got a hard competitor if we make it through to the next round. So I appreciate your support, and I hope that you will consider voting for me on August 4th.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you to both of you. Our candidates for Oakland County Commissioner for the 12th District, Kelly Dillaha and William Gage. Thanks for being here. And for all the Oakland County Commissioner candidates, I think it's so exciting to meet such good candidates and think about this new era we're entering into in Oakland County government. It's very exciting.